I'm Omar Macy here at Rap4's R&D section, looking at the basically the future possibilities that we're working on. This is a request that we have, MG42, some World War II reenactions. We're also working on a M1919 here as well in the separate screens. Basically, again, so here we are at Gun Wall. This is most of the popular guns. Basically everything we have. You have AKs, M4s, G36, SIG 550, SCAR, different variations, M249s, M60s. Yeah, I mean pretty much everything that you would want right there for us to gauge on it. So this is my military simulation wall. So they're all either comprised of airsoft guns, simunition guns, or what we're really focused on, which is mag-fed paintball. You got Tiberius's T4, got my mil-sig right there, basically the Phenom, this is the new generation, the MKP2, the MKV, or the MK98, so basically it's a Tippmann 98 converted, MK5, and of course the grandfather of all mag-fed, right up over there, the SMG60. Now I am looking for an SMG68, so if any of you have one, let us know about it. Our traditional paintball as well, of course, so I mean some of the majors there, Egos, Proto, Tippmann's new crossover, very cool blow. In any case, and of course you cannot go out without an automag there. That's basically necessary. I also like collecting real guns. I mean, anything firearm related, gun related. If it shoots, if it has a trigger, I want it. This is an SKS with a bullpup kit. So, you know, definitely bullpup is something that people are looking for. This is normally a really long gun, so this is a nice way to make it a little more compact. This right here, this is a KR7. This is a 308 or 7.62 by 51 rifle. This is actually designed by me when I was working with KR7. I was co-owner and chief designer for that company. This is a co-patented mechanism right here, which is a forward charging handle. Really cool gun. I mean, this thing right here is the lightest of its class. So you're talking about a 308 or a 7.62 rifle that's about the same weight as a standard 5.56 AR or the M4 class. Really proud of it. Shoots great. I mean, it has really low recoil, has a hydraulic anodyne buffer in it. It can be configured to do either piston or direct impingement. And again, this is a forward charging handle. You don't have to take off your sight fixture. You rack it from the front right there and you're ready to go. So, I mean, cannot have an AR-15 or the M4 variant of it. Of course, M1 Garand, classic rifle, I think, for anybody to have in their collection and save. Little Remy 870, gotta have it. Another really cool 308 or 7.62 platform. Again, these are all great systems. They've been used heavily over the years, so it's one of my favorite actually. Love the way it shoots. Another 308, this one kicks like a mule, but it's basically your G3 variant. You know, so again, we basically use a lot of these things too. So this one specific, we have a kit coming out for the MK5, which is a series of panels that go on either side of the marker, and also the full length handguard, functional charging handle, just like you can see right here. So, I mean, yeah, another one to have right here. Little mini, you know, if you want to plink around, have that little recoil and just get some rounds down range. It's a great little puppy to have. This right here is a really cool rifle. This is a Swiss, basically it's a straight bolt action. So normally bolt action you have to back. But this is a very interesting design. You just pull it straight back and it's able to shoot. So definitely the Swiss around World War II came out with this thing, and it's really cool. So a little different setup to what you'd normally have in a bolt action rifle. Little SIG, chambered in 40. Awesome little pistol right here. HK, USP 45 cal, very light. Very close to a Glock, I would say. I actually like this one better than the Glock. Just feels better when you shoot it. I have a collection without. It's definitely venerable 1911. So, cool. Definitely have the M1919. This thing is really awesome. I mean, we have this. I love shooting it. But in addition to this, we're using this a lot for getting all the sizes, measurements, and everything else. So we make a paintball version, and again, it's mostly for military training, and we fielded quite a few of these across the world already. And now for that big bore shot, this is a 50 caliber mounted on a AR lower receiver. Yeah, this thing's a beast. I mean, I think this thing weighs more than I do. So going to the mag fed, which is of course what all of this is about. Again, great guns. We've been working on this for quite a while. There's a T68, the magazine kits like I mentioned before. And again, even great guns like this Tiberius that's been shooting first strike. It was designed to shoot first strike. So this thing's awesome. I mean, a couple things, obviously the magazine being so long, kind of a problem for some. You can't go prone. But of course, they now have the 10-round magazine. And that's kind of the same basis that we took with the D-mags. We have 3 different sizes for that reason. You want to go prone, you can do the twin 7-stack or the 14-rounder. A standard loadout would be like a 20-round, and then a 30-round, which would be probably great if you're in the game. If you're not going to go prone, it's a great system to use. A Milsig, you know what? Love this thing. It's good. It's a great gun. I mean, really, really well built. Shoots, goes bang pretty much every time. The only thing I can say that it has kind of a little bit of a problem, this little the button release for the magazine. I would I believe they have a replacement metal one. We already broke this. We had to replace it with some of the Rap4 Gen 5s, which is a very similar system. I guess they've improved upon it over the years. I think this thing's awesome. So, my Milsig. Now, with all these markers, I mean, they all have great things to them, but they also have some drawbacks that, coming from the firearms industry or trying to make the best training platform, or really looking how the function of a rifle works, there's just not anything really close enough in paintball. I'm going to bring a point here. So you have something like the Tiberius T4. Again, you can remove your magazine. You even have takedown pins, so you can go ahead and crack the receiver open. I mean, it's similar to an AR platform that you can crack it open, but once you cracked it open, you're really nowhere closer to doing anything with it. You can't take out the bolt, you can't take out the bolt assembly or the core, and now it's where you've got to start messing with little screws and everything else, and it's just, yeah, that's something we've been trying to avoid. I mean, even with our own flagship marker, the T68, you want to gain access to the bolt, and you gotta get some screwdrivers out, some Allen keys, and basically start unscrewing components to get to your vital parts, to clean your marker, or even in a simulation purpose for the military. That's where it differs. That's where you lose the realism compared to having something like an AR based, or even AK or any of these platforms, where you just basically take off your rear pin. You got your bolt carrier. I mean, that part there. So you got your bolt carrier. Everything comes out all in one pop. You have full access to your barrel at that point. All your firing controls are down in the lower receiver. In paintball, if we can have that, then you're looking at something closer to what we're looking for here. The Phenom did something similar to this. You basically, to gain access to your components or your main core, you take down a series of pins, then you're able to pull out the core through the back. Again, pretty cool. It's a step in the right direction. This is definitely, I think, where the way things are headed. Easy takedown, maintenance, serviceability. I think is really the future. I mean, beyond feeding systems and having these things not chopped, which of course, I mean, that's been hashed out and people are working that just over the years. But serviceability is the next wave of what's happening. I believe even the next series Milsigs are going to be doing the same thing. You just pull out 2 pins, the whole core comes out the back, so really step in the right direction for those guys. New marker that's coming out, these Scarab arms, I believe TGR2, very similar. You take down 2 pins, take out the buttstock, you have access to the full components of the gun. So again, it's kind of going along with everybody, and it's working out. Things like the Tippmann inline bolt mag kits, they still don't have that. So I mean, you want to service it, you do have to break it all apart, a whole bunch of series of screws. And for all these reasons, being in the industry, knowing the platforms, knowing how they operate, it's just not enough. I mean, we had to look at a better thing. So again, the Tiberius did a great thing. They're mimicking the AR. It cracks open in the receiver. But again, we need something a little bit closer to in the functioning of how a firearm works, being that the trigger control, the firing group, the full firing group, hammer, sear, disconnectors are all down at the lower receiver, and just bolt and bolt carrier up in the top. Which, of course, it's really exciting because by having that, by having that principle of having like a firearm, then you're able to do all sorts of really cool things. I mean, you have things like closed bolt. Now it's a reality. You're able to do closed bolt with these new systems. Mechanical full auto, even. I mean, the same way that the AR platform would do select fire, you would be able to do select fire with one of these systems when they're designed and elaborated on. I got started into this industry, I guess at a very young age. I mean, as far as I can remember, when I was really young, my dad gave me a rifle, and I mean, that just basically turned it from there. And of course, well, everybody, kids, toy guns and everything else. And back in the day, I mean, you could buy toy guns that look real. Not anymore. You got like super soakers and stuff these days. My first firearm, I would say it's definitely this one right here. This is a JGA. This is a parlor rifle. It's basically the answer for like a 1022 back in pre-World War II Germany. And that's what it is. I mean, actually JGA is Anschutz, which became, this day and age, they make these competition, like Olympic competition air rifles. So they have a lot of history. But yeah, when I got this, I mean, it was cool. This thing doesn't kick at all. I mean, it's a tiny little caliber, so it's awesome. It's awesome to shoot. I haven't found ammo for it for years, but yeah, definitely this thing right here. I would say this is what got me started. That and just the love of it, I suppose. And as I grew up, I mean, definitely things got together. My career, my passion, and maybe a little bit of talent there just kind of came together to work on these things, you know. I think Porsche said it himself. I mean, he could not find his dream car, so he had to build it himself. And I think same thing happens here. I mean, I haven't been able to find my dream gun yet, so I'm on the chase to, that's my quest, to make my dream gun and to go from there. I mean, I've done stuff like the KR7, which is awesome. I love it. But I still think there's a lot of room to go, you know. It's not my dream gun, it's like the beginning of a dream only. And same thing with the mag kits. Mag kits were an awesome thing to do to get more people into it. Yeah, so I mean, we definitely have a long way to go, and I'm gonna follow the Porsche ideology here. I need to find my dream gun, and if I can't find it elsewhere, I'm gonna build it. I got started with Rap4, what is it, about eight years ago. I mean, realistically, right when the company was pretty young, I had a manufacturing facility, so before I came out to do designing and the R&D for Rap4, I used to manufacture some components. I mean, many of you probably have them as customizations on your markers, but I've been working with Rap4 for about 8 years now, and it just made sense after a while, you know, just to come out here and really have more access and be part of the team and to bring all this out to all of you guys. You know, I came from the firearms industry. Definitely, it's cool. I mean, I think a big part of MagFed and everything is mimicking firearms. But firearms also is a very tricky industry. I mean, there's lots of legalities involved, you know, lots of things to keep in mind. And also, you know, many countries are not allowed to have firearms, so you're able to train with these MagFed platforms all around the world. So I want to be part of that. Now, this is a really cool part because, I mean, just like you have many different platforms in real firearms or even in airsoft or in the industry, I think we need that. We definitely need that in MagFed. We need to have just basically almost every option out there as an arsenal, so you're able to show everything. I mean, you know, the sky's the limit. You got miniguns that definitely could be made, all kinds of machine guns that could be made, different platforms, pistols. I mean, there really is no limit, as I can see. Both for the training side, the less lethal side, and definitely for milsim. Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit here. And the more people that are involved with this, the more people that are putting their creativity into this, the more this is going to thrive. In fact, some of the best, I don't know, motivation that we get is guys out there that are modding their guns. I mean, I've seen some really cool stuff being made. In fact, there's a guy out there, a lot of you know him, who took the Phenom and made a Galil out of it. thing is dead on. I mean, you look up the Galil online, and you look at his modification, seriously, it's dead on. I mean, that right there gives us motivation to move forward and make great things. Same guy also made a Chris Super V, which is this new submachine gun. It's a 45 caliber submachine gun, but he did it dead on with a T8 pistol, something like this right here. Yeah, awesome work these guys are doing. And again, I mean, there's just so many modifications out there that are being made by these guys, and that we can fuel off of that. That's where we can work off of and see what's number one, what they're doing and what they want. So we're able to push forward and make all these platforms for everybody who's not as technically inclined or has the patience to do that great custom work that these guys are doing. First strikes. This is a lovely question. Yeah, definitely first strikes are the wave of the future. I mean, I think it changed warfare in general for firearms and the way warfare's fought these days. A round projectile can only go so far before it changes direction in its flight path. Think of it like a pitcher, you know, throwing a ball. I mean, you can only go so far. There are things to like put an effect on it, but that's just it. I mean, it's just putting an effect on it, and you're like the hop up on airsoft or like the Apex for paintball. But definitely first strike is definitely the way to go. You can actually have similar velocity and get much more range. You can get much more accuracy, and that's the way of the future. Now the idea is to bring down the cost, make a projectile that's you know, maybe biodegradable, maybe something that really compares to paintball, and bring the cost down so it can be a true substitute for paintball. It might never be the same cost exactly because the process will be definitely harder, but I mean, just imagine a sub 10-cent round where you're able to, you know, for every 10 shots that you would use in a paintball, you use one of these shaped projectiles to get your opponent out. I think that's the way. I mean, that's where we need to be headed. And of course, you know, I'm sure that there will be somebody developing these shape rounds, or first strike will bring down in price. Who knows? But there'll definitely be something coming out very soon about that.
I don't get it, don't you think? Maybe we can put it on credit, don't you think?
D-Max are a really touchy subject maybe, but I mean, it's a great question. We developed the D-Max because we wanted to have a magazine that would be treated like a pod, sort of. And the reason that I saw this is one of our first N-War games. I saw people fiddling around trying to put their magazine back in their pouch or in their vest or something, and they were getting shot out while they were putting their magazine back in there. That's just silly. I mean, in a real situation, if you are fighting for your life, you're not going to worry about a magazine. You're going to drop it down, you're going to move on and finish your mission. So something like this, we needed to have a low cost option to have a magazine that you're able to do that. At the same time, being to paintball competitions, speedball, you see people treating the pod, which, I mean, they can go upwards like $9 for like the most expensive one, you know, $1 for the cheapest ones, but no matter which pod is being used, they're being dropped in the game. I mean, fill your hopper and then just toss the thing to the side. Maybe somebody in your team picks it up, or who knows, a lot of them even get left there. So that's where we saw it. We needed a low cost option for getting the magazines out, as well as kind of treating it like a pod. That's what our idea is. First we thought, well, what about making a disposable mag, a truly disposable mag? I mean, keep it super cheap. But then again, I mean, disposable, you know, we gotta protect our planet. So throwing stuff away is not really what we want. But we didn't want to keep the low costs, so we devised a way, or we figured out a way to make the cost so low that it could be similar to like consumables. I mean, you go to the supermarket, you buy a bottle of shampoo. It's recyclable, but I mean, it comes in this big old nice container. So that's kind of the idea that we chose this. Use materials that have been chosen to do like semi-disposable items, but then through its construction, make it really stiff and really solid, and also make it last a really long time. In addition to that, we decided immediately, right when we thought of this, to do the dual stack system because the winding mechanism in our current magazines, it's very expensive to manufacture, which is the reason why we have really expensive magazines. And I think all across the board, everybody has really expensive magazines. And because of that cost, people don't treat them like an operator would, or like how somebody would really use them in a life or death situation, or even a training situation. That's how they should be used. So we did come up with all these ways of making it really inexpensive, and again, really reliable because of the straight stack. And yeah, there's a minor inconvenience of having to flip it around, but even that, I mean, that can improve on your mag drills. I mean, you want to really practice and train as you fight, so I mean, doing tactical loading, it's a good a good mechanism to learn it, be quick about it, and that will get you more shots down range in the end. So minor complication, limitation there, but no big deal. It is capable of shooting first strike or any shape round that comes out, who knows. So yeah, definitely it's a good system. We really wanted to have something like that. Now as far as the delay, well, you know, in all parts, we took a while to develop it because trying to get this low-cost way of producing it, well, number one, it has not really been done in our industry before, so that took a little while. And then of course we ran into some issues, I guess you can call them patent issues and so forth. I do have the great news to let you know that that's all been solved. So, you know, we're resuming production. In fact, we started producing lots of the components since last week. You know, now of course, because it's such a large scale project and to keep the cost down, we need to produce a whole bunch of components for the D-Mags. I mean, that's the only way to keep the cost down, is the choice of materials, the choice in construction, but at the same time, volume. I mean, by sheer volume, we're going to be able to keep the cost down on this. So it's ready to go. It's moving along. We will give you exact dates as to when we have, we will be getting the first shipments and we'll be releasing it. But great news, patent issues are all solved. So now that takes us to the whole point of this whole story, I suppose, which is the 468. The 468 is a new marker platform to, at least in what we're looking at, to fulfill all those roles that we're looking at. This is a paintball marker, okay? This is basically designed for military training. Of course, it's gonna be great for milsim as well. And so this is what it is. You, unlike the T68, you no longer have any external adapters. So that's one huge plus sign. Number two, you can do full mil-spec handguards, buttstocks, grips. I mean, you have the full breakdown of everything, Picatinny all over the top. And really what we're talking about, I mean, so this is a lot closer to a standard rifle than has been seen before, realistically. And that's what we're headed for this way. So let me show you a little bit of how this thing breaks down and why we're so excited about it and why we see so much potential for this in the future and what it will be developed. This is what I would say a great transitional gun. I mean, it's gonna really take us pretty far, but definitely transition, because I mentioned a few things out there that we are really chasing for. Closed bolt, mechanical full auto. Those two things are just absolutely what we're chasing after. We all know that closed bolt has proved to be a great system for pump players, so we see that it will do basically the same benefits when we get to these standard rifle platforms. So once again, take out your magazine. This will be configured to take standard magazines, something like the already tried and true magazines, the 18, 20 rounders, various companies, I suppose you can use them. And obviously we're pushing for the D-Mag, so this will be available for the D-Mag as well. Alright, so something to consider here. Again, take down your pin,